Thank you. So after the Purple Onion, the Travelers, we ended up working at the Hungry Eye with Mort Saul for 4 weeks. One of those weeks, he was on the cover of Time magazine. That tells you how vital that scene was at that time. Everybody was paying attention to it. And then I found out I was about to get thrown into the Army, so to avoid 2 years active duty by being drafted, I joined the reserve, so I'd just been for 6 months. I got out. It was too late for the Travelers, so I decided to go back to college. Ended up at San Francisco State, got a couple degrees there. While I'm working on my master's, I started a duo with my partner, Howard. We were called Byron and Howard, and act as exciting as its name. It was a comedy singing act, and we ended up being the house act at the Purple Onion for about 4 years, I guess, in the mid-'60s. When we come down to the Ice House in Pasadena for a couple months every year, we worked at a club in Aspen. I guess the high point of our career was working with Rosemary Clooney in Las Vegas, and the low point was working at the Sani Chateau nightclub in Bangkok, Thailand, where we had to do comedy for a bunch of drunk Chinese and East Indian businessmen who didn't speak English. We did a lot of singing on that gig, I'll tell you. Well, I knew we were in trouble when we checked into the hotel in Bangkok, and there's a sign above the registration desk. It said, "Check your values here." It's true. That's true, you know. Yeah, great. So, right around that time, I was starting to write songs when I was with Howard, and I dropped by at the Hungry Eye one night to hear this new singer from New York named Kenny Rankin, and he was it was his last show there, singing to about 10 drunk Shriners who couldn't care less about this beautiful man, and I went backstage and told him how wonderful he was, and he said, "Man, I need a friend. Let's go get a beer," you know. So we ended up in his motel room with his wife and baby most of the night playing music, him mostly playing, me mostly listening. Because my style was going in the same direction as his, except he'd taken it about a mile further down the road than I had at that time. So he was like a mentor to me. And over the next 6 months, I guess I must have written about 6 jazz waltzes, and this is one of them, one that still sort of hangs together that I love to do. To go where the trees are green and the rivers are blue, flow like they're meant to into the sea, free of restriction and free of debris. That's how I thought that it would always be. Must have been out of my tree. For the first time in my life I'm wrong again, wrong again, wrong again. For the first time in my life, I'm wrong again. Wrong again, wrong. I believe that the people would come to their senses in time, changing the course of a world going blind. That love would prevail in the nick of time. Hate would be ended and all war suspended. Must have been out of my mind. For the first time in my life, I'm wrong again, wrong again, wrong. First time in my life, I'm wrong again, wrong again, wrong. Ba-da-ba.